This guy may be magnetic, but he's also attractive. What?
Hello, my baby! Hello, my honey! Hello, my ragtime gal! Son, you've kissed my wife! Baby, my heart's on fire!
Of the original Generation 1 Autobot Transformers, we have had mainline remakes for almost all of them. Even lesser-known ones like Gears. But there has always been one that's been hugely overlooked, and that is Windcharger. The impulsive bot that turns into a red sports car, who is also the Autobot equivalent of Magneto, with magnetic mods that can levitate metal to draw it in, fling it away, or tear it to bits. And Cybertronians are made of metal, so Windcharger should have been one of the Decepticons' arch-enemies. Yet he rarely appeared in the show, and he never used his magnetic mods to do anything noteworthy. Underused is a colossal understatement. Anywho, he's finally been given an update alongside Gears and the other Neglectobots. See his Studio Series 86 Deluxe-sized container, which still somehow has at least 1/3 of the box empty towards the bottom. Autobot City in ruins on the side panel. Both modes pictured on the back, with Windcharger's minuscule bio, reading, "Windcharger uses his magnetic powers to fight the Decepticons." Does he? See his neglected face on the other side panel. Now let's get Windcharger out of this box and finally pay some attention to him. Out-of-box Studio Series 86 Deluxe Windcharger comes with his instruction booklet, a teeny tiny light gray pistol, and a yellowish hard translucent Magno Burst Fire Blast accessory. Windcharger's alt mode is an 80s style sports car. How can you tell? Because the rear window section has those ridged slats that look like a staircase. Back in the 80s, you mortals suffered a brief malady, during which you thought these things were cool. The materials feel alright, though there is some translucent plastic, which brings up the possibility of future cracking and breakage. And here we thought Hasbro had wised up about this issue. Fat chance. It's small for a deluxe, but not as small as some other deluxes we've seen. It's done up mostly in cliff jumper style red with blue windows, charcoal gray tires and rear window staircase, X-rayed Autobot logo on the top of the hood, and they tossed in some silver paint on the front grille and hubcaps. The tires are all pinned on, so he rolls well on flat surfaces. One thing I don't care for is that his tires do that thing where they don't look like they're connected with the axles. They seem more like table legs, and it gives the car a rickety, crab-like appearance. On the plus side, the tires don't tilt out of place, so the car remains stable and not wobbly. It definitely looks car-like from above. But turn him over, and you can see the robot head, chest, and legs clear as day. No, you can't rotate the robot head so it's pointed the other direction. We tried. One advantage to the car portions being perched so high above the tires is that there's little risk of paint scraping when he rolls. For play features, the gun will store underneath the rear tires, with these tabs and slots. The hard plastic fire blast can be plugged into the front of the car. It's supposed to look like some kind of magnetic burst, but it looks more like Spider-Man's webbing. It makes a very neat, solid little car, but somehow it just doesn't seem as real-world as other carformers like Wheeljack or Jazz. To transform to robot mode, first de-accessorize. Going to the front of the car hood. Gently prise and untab the front of the car hood. The entire top of the car will untab. Use the robot leg hinges to unfurl the entire top of the car, including the rear wheels. Fold the rear wheels inside the car. Gently, very gently untab and separate the legs. Fold down the headlights, and then using these hinges, furl up the top of the car and tab it thusly to become the robot leg. Oh yeah, and repeat for both sides. This entire windshield section is made of translucent plastic. It untabs down here, These tabs and grooves must also be separated until this section has been very slightly raised up. Then swivel out the robot arms. See these hinges which were buried inside. They unfold and angle out. Fold down the robot fists. Behind the robot head you will see this tab. Underneath the windshield section is a corresponding groove. Using a double hinge that's buried underneath the windshield, fold and angle everything up, and tab the windshield in place. Again, be very careful with it because it's translucent plastic with some paint on top, and if you're too rough with it one day it might shatter. Take the front wheel wells and invert them. Oh yeah, and repeat for both sides. It's not a hugely complicated transformation, there are only 12 steps, but be very aware of the translucent plastic parts. As one of the original Generation 1 mini-bots, Windcharger was never a large presence on the team, and the Studio Series 86 remake doesn't beef him up any. The robot mode doesn't add any parts-forming height like it did with Transformers Animated Lockdown. He is still short and unassuming. His main features are his box-like head, light gray face with blue eyes. His features are quite angular. The rear window staircase has become his ridgy shin plates. A lot of the red is still visible, but now it's mixed in with all the gray parts which had been concealed under the car. It still feels pretty solid in hand and maintains a compact density. There's no excessive hollowness, except of course for the shin portions, which are made with the car's folded up panels. The tires help to fill out that space at least part way. Some mention must be made of the shins and feet, because it looks like he has no feet, when in fact what looks like the shins are the feet. Really, really big feet. The shins are actually in the gray portions just above. It's one of the main drags on this figure in robot mode. The feet are clownishly large by comparison, and it throws off the proportions. Not only that, but the back of the heels have this slanty thing going on. It's an open invitation for the figure to roll and topple backwards with a nudge, and he almost certainly will. There's a flat base to each foot, but it's saddening unto me that they didn't give him proper heel spurs, so he could be more stable. At nearly $30 a pop, they could at least have tried. For play features, his only 5mm ports are in his hands. That's it. There's no other way to customize him. Even the magnetic burst will only plug into his chest, and it's a really tight fit. Be careful not to crack this translucent plastic. I would like for them to have rigged up a way to plug the blast into his hands, but you can't. 3D printer enthusiasts will have to create an adapter of some kind. You can plug his gun into the 3mm port on his robot, and there's an additional slotted port on his back for storing the magnetic burst. Windcharger's head is mushroom pegged and will do a full rotation, though you have to disengage his back panel to avoid parts crashing. There's no way to tilt the head, but they did install this clever lever in the back of his head. Nudge the lever down, and Windcharger will look up. The shoulders are ball-socketed and will do a full rotation and splay out. Disengage the shoulder transformation hinge, and he can square his shoulders. There's a bicep swivel, bending elbows, full waist rotation. The legs will kick forward very high, and backwards equally high. Each hip will splay out, upper thigh swivel, a nearly 90-degree bend at the knee. As for the clown feet, they rotate forward and backward very slightly. If you untab this panel, then you can get even more rotation out of it. And there's a grotesquely comical ankle pivot. Overall, the articulation is pretty good for a deluxe. Then you hit the ankles and feet, and it all seems to fall apart. Which is a shame, because if the figure can't stand properly on its feet, then that distracts from everything else. Even if it is functional, it's distracting. Third-party companies are already coming out with filler kits for those shins, but that doesn't make them look any less clownish. For size comparison, here is Studio Series 86 Deluxe Windcharger, next to Commander Class Optimus Prime, next to Titan's Return Legends Class Windcharger, and next to this USB charger. Studio Series 86 Deluxe Windcharger is a brass ring for many Generation 1 completionists who want an updated figure that will scale well alongside the rest of the recently made Autobots. I think the only one really missing now is Blue Streak. For all the long wait, is this figure really worth it? Positives are its novelty, a new mold for one of the most overlooked and least frequently updated figures. Collectors rejoice. There are no soft plastic parts, it has good articulation, and it feels nice and solid in both modes. The funky Magno Blast was a nice touch, and the transformation is easy. Negatives are that some parts are translucent plastic, and that rarely works out well in the long haul. The transformation is almost too easy. His customization options are very limited, and I really wish they'd added the ability to mount the Magno Burst onto his hands. The way they did the feet, it's just awful. Third-party filler kits are already on the way, but it's a shame that independent businesses have had to rise up and do what Hasbro should be doing themselves. Even so, it's a fun little figure just to fiddle around with, and worth picking up before he disappears again for another 40 years. I give Studio Series 86 Movie Deluxe Windcharger 7 out of 10 deaths. We fully expected this to be a polarizing review. Come on now, that one works on several different levels.
If you refuse me, honey, you lose me, then you'll be left alone, oh baby. Come on and tell me I'm your own.